Heard about your lessons, but lessons are so cold. I didn't know about this school. Little girl from Cherry Lane, how can you be so bold? How did you know that golden rule? I think of all the education that I missed, but then my homework was never quite like this. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, deep in our underground bunker, writing lesson plans that contain all the knowledge of local government, taking a wrecking ball to the existing order. How you doing?
Yeah, not great today.
You don't sound very chipper.
I am not doing well today. I was been a rough day here. I'm going to break protocol, Jay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to. You and I have off and on talked about this bonding bill.
Yes.
Over the past couple of months. It normally comes out in the spring. We do a show exposing all the crap.
Yes.
In there, especially from a local angle, where everybody was bought off for their votes.
Right.
What's gone on in St. Paul in the past few days has just reiterated a few things for me.
Yes.
That I'm going to go off on in a second. However,
yes.
I have no clue who sings that. What was it called again?
Hot for Teacher. Van Halen.
Is that the guy who just died? That
yeah,
one guy?
Absolutely. Oh, okay. I had to go with it.
Yeah.
Given one of the greatest guitarists ever.
You think so?
Passed away. Yes, absolutely. He was super
Who's
innovative.
Who's your top 5 guitarists?
Oh, well, behind me.
Well, besides you. It's like, who's my favorite radio personality? I always say behind me.
Oh man, it's hard because you got.
Well, now separate. Who's your favorite for who you think the best is? Is there a difference in your mind?
Yeah. You can look at things. Okay, this guy's technically the best, or this guy is super innovative, or this guy, the way that he plays, just. He makes it sound amazing, tone and technique, and he might not be a shredder or he might not have been super innovative, but just what comes out of his guitars is like pure gold. So there are different ways for you to look at who's the best. There was always a rumor that, somebody asked Jimi Hendrix once, what's it like to be the best guitar player in the world? And then he said, I don't know, you have to ask. And then the rumor has about like one of whoever everybody else's favorite guitar player is ever that he said that one.
I do like Hendrix.
Yeah, I love Jimi Hendrix, and he changed a lot of things. I mean, people didn't play guitar like that before he did. He was super innovative. He was kind of sloppy. That was, partly because of his tone, partly because he was a blues player, and there's a lot more forgiving in that. But, I mean, he was super solid.
He might have been on various substances as well. I'm just saying, could have been
possible. It was possible. So you got guys like Jimi Hendrix. You got guys like Eddie Van Halen. Again, super technical and innovative, and one of the most, readily recognizable things in guitar playing history would have to be the solo from Michael Jackson's "Beat It." Eddie Van Halen came in and did it in one take.
Really? Like Frank Sinatra?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Wow.
So he walked in, he recorded it. And
that's like you and me. We do one take.
Right.
On everything.
Absolutely. So definitely, those two are in there. You've got technical geniuses like Yngwie Malmsteen or...
Malmsteen, what band is he?
He's just his own. Yngwie Malmsteen is just he's his own guy. He's Swedish. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
He's got a guy. He's got a band that plays with him. But he oddly enough, and that's a whole thing where some people really frowned on heavy metal music. In college, I went to a college that in my music curriculum, we studied a lot about. Everything from medieval music to, we had Renaissance and classical and Romantic era music and all of this. Well, they had no time for any of this. In fact, I don't know if I've ever told this story here. We had to go to 6 concerts a month. It was a class that
poor guy.
It was a class that got me 0 credits. Oh, sorry. It wasn't every month. It was every like quarter. We had or whatever it was. Do we have 4 or 3? I don't know. Trimester.
It was quarters when you and I went.
I think it was trimester or whatever. We had 3 of them, and then there was 4 with summer, but most people didn't go to summer school. Anyways, so I went to a bunch of jazz concerts, and I went to a Guns N' Roses concert at the Metrodome with Metallica and Faith No More. And after that, they changed the rules, saying that I had to go to 5 concerts on campus, and I could go to 1 concert off campus. But everybody could do that, but it was because of me. Sorry, everybody else. Your fun was ruined because I didn't want to sit through medieval music.
Yeah, you didn't want to sit through Swan Lake or
harpsichords and lutes. No offense to lute players that I knew, Earl. So sorry.
Okay. So
yes.
So that was your 6 things you got. Jay, back in my day, we called those bonehead classes when you got no credit.
Was required. This was required. I had to, yes. It was supposed to grow me as a musician.
Was it like basket weaving or whatever people had to take to
because being a music major, I mean, they want you to be involved in music, so by going to concerts, you're getting a sampling.
Was that a tax deduction?
No.
But it could be.
But here's the other thing too. It's like they want you to get the sampling and learn all about how people do live music and how to be an artist. But then they restricted me so that I couldn't check anybody else out other than the people at the school.
Here's the thing. You can't learn about music in a classroom.
No.
Is that really not the truth, Jay? You just can't learn about it in a classroom?
Yes and no. I mean, you can learn about music history, and those classes were valuable. You can learn about music theory. Those classes are valuable to some degree, depending on what kind of music you're doing.
Yeah.
And there were classes, well, I'm glad that I learned how to play all the different instruments. They made me learn how to play everything.
Yeah, you could toot any horn.
Yeah.
I had a friend who played guitar tell me that he could give me about 10 lessons. And after that, I could probably play along to most things, except for Jimi Hendrix solo or a Jimmy Page or somebody like that.
Right.
But he goes, you could kind of play along. You can kind of hear it. Once you kind of hear and feel the music, you can kind of figure it out. And that was his.
If you practice, if you practice learning some chords, learning some strumming patterns, probably.
Every time somebody talks about music, though, I always go back to the Partridge Family.
Yeah.
The original Milli Vanilli. And the guy, not David Cassidy, but the guy who played the brother. He's like a martial arts guy now. I can't think of his name. Doesn't matter, with the red hair.
Yes. Oh, Danny Bonaducci.
Yeah. He said that they started playing David Cassidy singing his heart out.
Yeah.
Doing everything. Everybody else just doing nothing.
Right.
And he said that he's strumming away on his bass. Yeah. And David Cassidy grabbed him, shoved him against the wall, and said, "Listen, you pluck a bass, you don't strum it." So there had to be some realism even on bubblegum rock. Okay.
Oh my word.
Okay, now.
Okay, so what? I got through 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got guys.
Right.
I mean, like, I think that probably Yngwie Malmsteen would probably be in that category. But you've got guys like Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and Eric Johnson and these days. I think picking out like really good guitar players is a lot more difficult because they've taken all the guitar solos out of most of the music, and you really have to listen to the rhythms, how they're playing, how
everything's
they
so corporate now. It's just
you
don't get to hear the.
It's sad.
I think the innovation is. I hope the pendulum swings, and technology has knocked down the barriers to so many things. Just like this show, how 20 years ago you and I couldn't have had this show.
Right.
Technology has knocked down those barriers, and maybe those garage bands and stuff.
Yeah.
Will revive the way rock and roll began. In the back when you were in your 30s. All right, now, Jay, I want to get on to this. First off, this bondage bill. Okay, 1.9 billion dollar bonding.
Oh, good. They came down from the $2.2 billion the governor wanted.
The original offer from the governor was $2 billion. Yeah. His way of compromising was going the other way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Republicans were dumb enough to take the bait.
Oh, the Republicans should have started at zero. That would have been mine.
Zero. But yeah, they pretty much gave him everything he originally wanted.
Okay, Good job. Before I go off on a total tangent.
In the words of Homestar Runner, good Georb.
Yeah, good Georb. Okay. If you are a Republican senator running for re-election, can you give me one accomplishment that you had that would even remotely excite your base of voters? Stop and think for a minute. This year, Governor Walz got, the police reform stuff he wanted, the education packages he wanted. He's got an absolute total power. They haven't dropped a chink in that. No. He got 90% of the bonding bill he wanted. And guess what? He retains every single authority to do whatever he wants and be a total dictator of this state. Republicans, can I ask you a question? What the hell did you get?
Nothing.
And you know what I hope? I hope they lose the Senate 67-0. That's what I hope. No, because you know what? Winning, if they win, you'll see more of stuff like this, not less. And let me tell you something else.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking, but I'm telling you, if put it to you like this, doing it now, is on purpose. This bill could have passed 6 months ago. It was delayed on purpose by Republicans.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. To get little goodies in here, because what's going to trickle out of here, and you and I will dissect this at some future show. I don't know if it'll be next week, but it'll be, of course, I'm sure it was passed without anybody knowing what was in it.
Right.
But what will happen, is that in a month it'll all be forgotten, and that's what they're hoping for.
Yeah.
Nobody can primary them now. Yeah. Nobody's going to make this an issue. Nobody's going to boo them at a Tea Party meeting. We're all in during election time.
Yeah.
And when I see a bill pass 100-34 and the Senate pass 64-3, the Senate couldn't pass a resolution 64-3 that the sky is blue.
Right.
It would not pass by that margin just because of the partisanship and all that crap.
Yeah.
But a massive bonding bill, passes 60. Why was it hung up for 6 months? I'll tell you why. You want to know why it's $1.9 billion? Because X amount of senators and House members got bought off.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to find out. This is what I hate about politics. This is what I hate about the two-party system. This is why we have one party in St. Paul, the big government party. We got DFL and DFL Light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now they're not 100% the same. They're like 85%.
Well, you've got progressives. You got progressive Democrats. You got progressive Republicans. Now, the progressive Democrats, they just want it all. And this is why it's hard for me to go there with you. And it's not that I can't be swayed that way, I guess. But here's where the progressive Republicans are different. Generally, they don't give in on the social issues, the critical race theory, the shared bathrooms in the schools, all of that stuff, where if you have everything Democrat, it all gets done.
I understand that, but the rationalization is going to be, well, we passed a bonding bill, and it didn't cost us our majority.
Yeah.
And we got this little goodie for this area. They're never going to learn a lesson if they don't stop acting like this. And it just reaffirms that I no longer affiliate with any party, because we all know they're supposed to debate things in public.
Yes.
They are not supposed to make deals behind this. This has been going on since May. This is a fix. I'm telling you that they have intentionally delayed this until enough people can rationalize voting yes.
Yeah.
They can make a rationalization now. Oh, we tried, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Dean Erdahl from Grove City. Where the hell is that? Voiced support for the bill. I'm reading this from house.ledge.state.mn.us. So it's right on the website here. The legislature has a history of passing bonding bills in good times and bad, during surplus and deficits, because lawmakers have a responsibility to meet the state's needs. Well, how about, Mr. Erdahl, I got a question for you. It's just great that you do deficit spending, no matter what the economic situation or anything. Yeah. Congratulations. I appreciate it. And it's bigger and bigger every time. You have a responsibility to meet the state's needs? I got an idea. How about you don't spend any more than you take in?
That's a good one.
I mean, would that be a principle that I'm sure this guy goes to the local Republican convention and talks about what a cutter to government he is, and how he's tough down there, blah blah blah.
How about this?
When he's in front of a different audience, we hear a different take.
Right. How about this for the state's needs? My needs, my kids' needs, to keep some of the money that we earn so that we can afford to pay our bills and buy groceries and maybe replace some of the things that break down in our homes or our vehicles and do maintenance. Or how about just once in a while to go out with our families and have dinner or enjoy a movie? That we can't do that anymore either. But, how about that? The need to live a life rather than funding your crap over in St. Paul.
Well, and, I would just...
Instead now, we're leveraging our children's future for the next 20 years just to pay additional interest payments on stuff that we should be saving for in advance.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the whole pay as you go, here are our priorities. Representative Jim Nash of Waconia, who I personally know, talked about how unbelievably expensive it was. Ended up voting against it, though he hinted that he would have supported a bill that spent slightly less. Well, I'm glad to know that if it was a $1.8 billion bonding bill, Jim Nash is a conservative on that. He's a hawk.
Right.
If it's 1.9, he's a hawk. If it's 1.8, it's okay.
Yeah.
We know where the threshold is now. Okay, so I mean, look, here's the thing. What is the Republicans' leverage now with the governor? There is no leverage.
None.
What are they going to do?
None. There's none. If we're doing fine now without some hawk preserve up in on the Iron Range or some sort of... Why do we need it right now?
I don't know, but there's endless crap in this.
Because I'll tell you this, too. What happens when this governor starts to lock stuff down again? You can bet your bottom dollar that if things continue to go in this direction and we see cases go up some more, I don't know how much more, he's going to start locking stuff down again. And then what happens to our economy? And how are people going to pay the government for those bonds? Well, the Federal Reserve's going to have to come in and bail them out.
But there's another short-term problem that's even worse than that, is that there's already a budget deficit forecast. The November forecast, they do two different ones.
Yeah.
The November forecast, quote unquote, which is put out by the state budget office, is what the governor will base his proposal to the legislature for the next 2 years on. And then there's the February forecast, which is an updated version of that. If things change economically, there's a bunch of different factors in there. So you've got already a large deficit, and that's because of revenue not coming in because businesses were not able to operate. They didn't collect sales tax. They didn't collect gas tax. They didn't collect hotel tax. They didn't collect the people not being unemployed. They're not paying income taxes.
Yep.
So there's already a gap there. Now you just added $1.9 billion plus interest on top of that. So what do you think the governor is going to propose? You think he's going to cut anything in spending? Of course not. No, we'll cut the rate of increase maybe by 0.01%. But ultimately, he's going to propose to tax anything that he possibly can. Tax things that aren't even taxed, like Mark Dayton tried to do. I mean, the whole... Again, that's a projected deficit based on projected increases that never come to fruition. But we're already in this position here. And to call this an investment bill, the Democrats are calling this a jobs bill. I mean, I almost can't understand. This is, again, where we could have an honest local media that would break this down and show the political backroom deals.
Yes.
Where are they? You and I will break this down if we can ever figure the damn thing out. But why are we the only ones doing it?
Yeah, I don't know.
You hear? Wait a minute. We did a show in 2018. Remember we exposed that New Hope got a bunch of money, that Ann Rest put in something that gave the New Hope pool a bunch of money?
Yeah.
Okay. Where else did you hear about that?
Nowhere.
You know, I mean, that's the kind of thing that shows a couple years back. But I mean, I shouldn't laugh about it, but it's like, you know, we know it's going to come out that this representative who had opposed this all along, all of a sudden voted, probably come out November 4th, all of a sudden voted yes, and there's $5 million for the local Chippewa Indian Museum or something like that that's now at their district, or the local college is getting a new science building that at the bargain price of $25 million, plus interest.
They get to build a new amphitheater in War Road.
A new bidet gets put in, the local community center. I mean, there's something. Obviously, some sort of deal was reached. But I'll tell you what, this is what I hate about politics. This is the crap that goes on. This is the stuff, Jay, I've been in this business for 18 years, and I can't defend this crap.
No.
I just can't.
Let me put it this way. If you're sick and tired of this, too, you better think about, urging people who maybe it's you. Maybe it's you who's listening to this. Primary these people. And I know we always
screw the endorsement.
We always talk about going into the city council first and working. When you're in outstate Minnesota, you don't have to worry about the Democrats so much in most of it. And
I agree with that's valuable experience, though.
It is.
Name ID, you're right.
We think you still need to do it, not only for
serve on a commission. Then, if
you've got a couple years, build some experience. But these people need a challenger, and they need to be made aware that what they're doing is not okay. 3 votes against this in the Senate. 3. That's ridiculous. 3.
What was it? That's the licks to get into a Tootsie Pop, right? 1, 2, 3. All right, Jay, it's MEA weekend. The kids are out of school. I'm not sure why, but it's
so that the unions can get their hooks into the teachers.
It's also DFL fundraising weekend, right? Too? Aren't they doing that? Yeah, but they are putting on their virtual. I've always wondered what goes on MEA weekend.
Yes.
Because MEA weekend's gone on for a long, long time in this state.
Yes, it has.
We used to have 2 teachers' unions, and now they became 1. Mm-hmm. That's where MEA, that's where the term comes. It's the
Minnesota Educators Association.
Whatever you paid dues to back in the 90s.
I did not pay dues to anybody. And let me tell you, as a former teacher, here's my experience with MEA weekend.
That's vacation time.
Yes, I didn't go.
Well, Jay, if you had gone, you'd have better information to tell us here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They might have converted me over to communism, though. And
I doubt that.
Yeah,
I doubt that.
I doubt that.
Now, Jay, here's the thing. I've always been curious as to what goes on, but it is not easy to find out what goes on, because Education Minnesota does a good job of restricting access. Because I always wonder, what are they really saying?
Yeah.
When you see a lesson plan on, accepting Muslims in our community, I wonder to myself, what is that based on? I mean, what is...
where are they not
where are
accepted?
Muslims being... are they thrown on an island somewhere or something?
I'll tell you this. I have a Muslim family that lives directly behind me. I've never seen them get discriminated against. I see them in the mornings. I'm like,
Yeah,
Hey,
there's a Muslim guy
doing?
I know at one of the gas stations by my work. Talk to him all the time. Doesn't seem like he's not being accepted by. Nobody says anything when we go in there, and he works just like I do. I don't see it, but I mean, what act being said? Who is coming to speak? Because I'm all for, and I know this is not what this is, but I'm all for teachers relearning things. I'm all for teachers continuing their education. I'm all for teachers learning new ways to teach kids, learning another language, learning. I'm all for that. I'm all for their continue. I guess you'd call it a. My wife is a nurse, and she does continuing for her nursing license every 4 years or something. She has to do X amount. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and anyone in the financial industry, if you have a Series 6, Series 7, Series 63, you have to go through continuing ed for those as well.
I mean, my dad was a truck driver. He had to take his driver's test every time he renewed his license, which is, 4 years in the state of Minnesota or 3 years or whatever?
Like that.
Yeah, so, I mean, a lot of careers require that, and I think that's a good thing. That's not what's going on, I don't think, on these MEA weekends. It is not a workshop for teachers to, learn how to teach the ABCs, so a student can better learn it or learn it quicker, or whatever. This is a time to push an agenda through, or indoctrinate somebody into an agenda. You may have a young, enthusiastic teacher. And they may be excited to go to a conference and meet other teachers and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's not easy to know when you're being, co-opted into something. Right. It's funny, I think back. Jay, let me ask you this. Did you ever, and I don't know if we've talked about this on the air before, have you ever looked back at like high school or junior high and go, you know what? I was being indoctrinated to something and I didn't realize it.
Yeah, a few episodes I think ago we had talked about.
Did we really? Okay, I can't remember.
I told a story about writing a paper on.
You did tell that. Yeah. Okay, that was on the air. I was wondering if we talked.
Getting a bad grade for that, although I did earn a little respect from some of my classmates.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, it's not always so easy to see it. I look back, and I can remember. Environmental things being told to me. I remember being told we wouldn't have oil when I was my age now, and the electric car was going to revolutionize.
The hole in the ozone layer was going to burn us all. Yeah.
And I'm not sure anybody was doing anything on purpose. I'm not saying there was a conspiracy to do it.
Right.
I'm saying that idea did not originate probably with that teacher somewhere. It came in some lesson plan and today everything comes from a side group.
Yes.
Everything in the classroom comes from some sort of nonprofit or so on and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a chance for all of them to network. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing how much they restrict access to the MEA agenda. Mm-hmm. If you go to Education Minnesota's website, they lay out a few things, but for the most part, what they're actually doing is quite secretive. And of course, this is being done with our tax dollars.
Yes.
I mean, where do teachers get their money? From our tax dollars, with all due respect. I'm just saying it's true, but. They have on their first page, educationminnesota.org, 2020 MEA details. Don't contain too many details.
No.
It basically talks about how it's a virtual conference, free and open to Education Minnesota members and aspiring educators only. So this is not open to the general public to come, and see what's going on. Now, they had a jam-packed agenda today, Jay.
Yes.
Just jam-packed.
Oh, I'm sure that It is. And I'm sure it's all wonderful.
Starting the day with their keynote speaker.
Oh, boy.
Keynote speaker named Bettina Love. Bettina Love. Jay, who is Bettina Love?
That is a good question.
But you know what? Hold on. Before we do that, okay, we have to have something.
Well, yes. I don't know what that is, but okay.
We have to have the Bettina Love theme music.
What?
Just hold on.
Oh, my goodness.
Stick with me on this.
Am I going to have to pay royalties on this?
You might have to.
Oh, goodness.
Because what we're going to use is the theme music of another person of love. Brother Love.
Okay.
Isn't it great? One of the greatest wrestling theme songs ever.
Yes.
Love. Love. So, Jay.
I love you.
But you see, that doesn't mean I like you.
No.
So, with the theme music playing, Jay.
Yeah.
Enlighten us. Who is Dr. Love?
Dr. Love. Well, oh my word. All right, Dr. Love. I don't know if I have it here. Well, she heads an organization called Abolitionist Teaching Network. I mean, that tells you about all you need to know right there. I've got to get on my Barry White voice with that kind of music. So
that's me on bass there, by the way.
Is that you on bass? Oh, that's good. My word. So yes. All right. Who is Ms. Bettina L. Love, board member? I gotta do this in my radio voice. Bettina Love is an educator who teaches, writes, researches, and advocates at the intersection of racism, education, and abolition. She is the author of the book, We Want to Do More Than Survive, Abolitionist Teaching and the Pursuit of Educational Freedom. Now, she has this Abolitionist Teaching Network. You can find that at abolitionistteachingnetwork.org. And that's why I'm not on the radio right there.
It's all that salad you ate earlier.
Yes, that's it. Let's talk about who else is on this magnificent team. Brandolyn Tosolt, board member. Brandolyn Tosolt is an educator who amplifies voices from the educational margins. She works with teachers and educational leaders in the greater Cincinnati area to transform schools into places which celebrate blackness and joy.
Oh, it must be on WKRP over there.
We have Chelsea Cully Love, board member. Chelsea Cully Love is
Can I just point out something?
Yes.
Why is it all these people are teachers, yet they're all activists on board members somewhere? Shouldn't they go in the classroom and teach some kids?
Yeah, they got to do something. They only work 8 months a year.
Yeah, it doesn't pay as well.
Right. Chelsea Cully Love is a third grade educator in Atlanta, Georgia. She began teaching exceptional student education in Homestead, Florida. Cully Love is currently working to build an engaging and effective learning community in Atlanta's 4th Ward. This work is facilitated by her experience and belief in the power of education to ensure students are having a meaningful, social justice-oriented, joy-filled learning experience. I tell you this, if my classroom was teaching social justice, it would not be a joy-filled classroom. I would be one of the most dour faces you would ever find.
I believe that.
Yes. David Stovall, Ph.D., is a professor of African American Studies and Criminology, Law, and Justice at the University of Illinois at Chicago. His work with communities, students, and teachers manifests itself in his involvement with the People's Education Movement. That sounds communist to me. I don't know. Anything that's people's.
That's usually China or East Germany or something like that.
A collection of classroom teachers, community members, students, and university professors in Chicago, Los Angeles, and the San Francisco Bay Area. Bastions of conservative thinking right there.
The most conservative place of San Francisco is Alcatraz.
Yes, that is true. Los Angeles and the San Francisco Bay Area. In education to his duties and responsibilities as a professor at UIC, he also served as a volunteer social studies teacher.
Is that Irvine?
No, that is the University. What did I say? Illinois, Chicago.
Oh, okay.
He also served as a volunteer social studies teacher at the Greater Lawndale Little Village School for Social Justice from 2005 to 2018.
The Lonsdale Social
Greater
Justice.
Lawndale Little Village School for Social Justice. I think of like little
that's exactly what I'm thinking.
You know how they have mini Kiss out in Las Vegas? I picture like mini little village people.
I picture the YMCA.
Yeah. Be a macho man. That's what that makes me think of.
I'm going to have to play that song later.
Oh, boy. Cynthia Dillard. Cynthia B. Dillard. Nana Mansa.
B. Dillard. Okay, yes. Not Cynthia Dillard.
Right. Cynthia B. Dillard. Nana Masa 2 of... I'm going to be channeling you for a moment.
I'm glad you didn't give me this part on the show.
Is an installed queen mother, black feminist teacher, educator, school builder, researcher, retreat leader, whose life and work spans the U.S. and Ghana, West Africa. She is the author of 3 books about the work of spirituality and teaching and learning for black life.
What? Separation of church and state.
Yeah, and is currently working on her 4th book, We Remember Black Women Teachers and the Spirit of Our Work. Yes. It just gets better.
That's the board member, Bored.
Yes. Farima Poor Khorshid. Farima Poor Khorshid, PhD, is a professor of teacher education at the University of San Francisco in California and holds leadership roles in grassroots collectives such as the Teachers for School Justice, the People's Education Movement. Again, sounds like Chinese.
Yeah, you know what? I don't. Yes. You know what? I don't care. I just want to know how you really pronounce that name.
And the National Education for Liberation Network.
Who are these groups? Can you ask a question?
Never even heard of them.
Why are there 50,000 groups, and who's funding all these things?
George Soros. We know.
Okay, but he's one guy. I mean,
he has billions of dollars.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure he has it all hidden in a Swiss bank. But I mean,
right.
Seriously, he can't be the only person funding all this.
No.
And why does every group need their own little, if you had, it just, never mind. I'm not even going to go where I was going to go.
Yeah. It's, for some reason, there are 50 million of these little groups on the
political
left side,
we'll call it.
And they all seem to have money and volunteers and resources. I don't get it. And so National Education for the Liberation Network, that also sounds super positive, thinking about black liberation and all that. Jeremiah, what's his name?
Obama's guy?
Yeah.
Jeremiah Wright.
Right, yeah. She has over a decade of experience teaching at the elementary level, as well as lecturing, supervising, and supporting educators locally, nationally, and internationally through her roles as a university professor, teacher, supervisor, educational consultant, and grassroots community organizer. And then there's one more.
God, look at the industry President Obama started.
Yeah.
Everybody's a community organizer now.
Exactly.
I mean, I know he went without a job for like 20 years.
Yeah.
But, it's just...
Yeah. Okay. There's one other one. Martha Axelsot Snyder. She's the associate professor in the Department of Educational Theory and Practice at the University of Georgia. Has worked for many years with educators and families in diverse multilingual settings, including U.S. Latino, Latina, and immigrant communities, as well as rural and indigenous communities in Mexico. Her focus has been on engaging with families and educators to promote equality in mathematics and science teaching and learning. Recently, she has worked with educators, parents, and children in schools in Turkey, serving multilingual families with refugee status.
Interesting.
Yep. So that's who is in charge of this group. With at the top of it, you have old Bettina who was here now teaching our children.
Yes, and on that note,
teachers. Yes.
On that note, the speech. From 9:15 to 10:15 on October 15th, which was this morning when we were recording this, is the "We gun be all right, but that ain't all right" abolitionist teaching and the pursuit of educational freedom. Well, first off, you can go back to first grade with that title. Dr. Love will discuss the struggles and the possibilities of committing ourselves to an abolitionist goal of educational freedom as opposed to reform, and moving beyond what she calls the educational survival complex. You suffer from that, Jay?
I survived. It didn't give me a complex.
Survive? Okay.
It didn't give me a complex. I graduated and went on to college, and I graduated, and I'm here to tell about it. I don't know.
Okay, well... Anyhow, abolitionist teaching is built on the creativity. Boy, this is small print here. Hang on. Imagination, boldness, ingenuity, and rebellious spirit and methods to demand and fight for educational system where all students are thriving, not simply surviving.
Oh. So they're talking about school choice?
No, they're talking about the equity crap that we keep hearing about.
Oh.
Participants who went to this virtual class being taught by Dr. Love will learn the concept and importance of culturally responsive and sustaining teaching and learning practices in the classroom. Well, you know what? They're already teachers. Shouldn't they know that?
They should.
Okay, I'm sorry.
They went to college for 4 years to get a degree.
Yeah, sometimes 6. Participants.
Lots of people go to college for 8 years. Yeah. They're called doctors.
Or high school. Best 8 years of my life.
Yes.
Participants will examine the impact of America's racism on black children and black families. Participants will engage with the ideas of abolitionist teaching to foster social justice classrooms and schools.
Yes.
Hint, hint. I mean, major
transforming
agenda.
The school into a social justice center.
It's not an institution of learning anymore.
Right.
We're not teaching kids stuff. We're teaching kids to be activists.
Yes.
The little heads of mush.
Well, that's what it is. Anti-racism. You can't. It's not enough to not be racist. You have to come against racism actively.
White people are assumed to be racist.
Right. But it is. It's not enough for you to say I'm not a racist. You have to actually engage in activism against racism.
Yes, you have to engage against yourself.
Yes.
Everybody can celebrate their culture except white people.
Right. So, this is who they brought in. Let me just read the mission statement for the Abolitionist Teaching Network quick. It's short. Abolitionist Teaching Network.
They don't have much to say.
Yeah. Their mission is simple. Develop and support educators to fight injustice within their schools and communities, utilizing the intellectual work and direct action of abolitionists in many forms, including community organizers, educators, parents, social workers, counselors, lawyers, therapists, artists, healthcare providers, and incarcerated folks FOLX. I don't know what that is.
I saw that.
We will organize and take action for educational freedom. Now, what exactly are they abolishing? What are they abolitionists for? Not slavery, obviously, or they would be talking about people who are in modern day slavery with trafficking. That doesn't seem to be in any of their writings anywhere. They don't care about slavery. They care about their issue.
Yeah, whatever their issue is. Again, it's easy to attach social justice, race, blah, 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 on anything today. You want to go take out a car loan, there's social justice involved somehow. Yes. I want to get in a little bit to the continuing modules, or whatever you want to call them, of what they did at the virtual. This is my favorite part. The student panel. Unsilent voices. Listen to this, Jay.
Yes.
Students will share stories about school experiences that are painful and often not talked about. Really? Tell me something not talked about today that happens at school.
Yeah, I suppose students sometimes don't talk about bad things that are going on at home,
Maybe not, but anything's all over social media and all that.
Yeah.
Participants will be able to develop a deeper awareness of how their identity impacts the way they interact and teach. Now, see, there's the hint again.
Right.
This is not about students being bullied or problems at home. It's the confused kid that they're going to try to put in a box. The students, I love the students will not answer questions from participants. No conversation is allowed. No advice can be given.
Right.
No help for anybody. They're just going to tell their stories, then go back to playing solitaire on their iPhone.
Right.
Okay, so that was really helpful. Okay, they have anti-oppression work. A conversation about the crisis of the moment and their relation to our students. This session will be a facilitated conversation focusing on educators' experience and questions around anti-oppression work. So what is that? Teachers are working too hard so they feel oppressed?
No, Our folks should be smart enough, that I don't need to point this out because, they listen to this show week in and week out. We've been talking about it. But this is critical race theory. That's what this is. It's part of cultural Marxism. It is meant to, and what cultural Marxism is, and critical race theory especially, is you take a group of people that feel oppressed and you turn their woes into an issue in order for you to get what you want. You use them to get a greater goal.
Yeah, and I argue that fuels racial division.
Absolutely.
You get somebody feeling oppressed, you get them angry, okay, they're the people that are throwing bricks through things.
Well, and that's why. And that's on purpose, because
but it's like I'm the head of some group that's wants to have a militia on the country, okay?
Yeah.
And I give all these rah-rah speeches, but I don't do anything. But somebody takes my words and does something. Yeah. That's what this is.
Right.
You're encouraging it, but you're not the one doing it.
Of course.
But we've seen cases like that where Ku Klux Klan has used that as a defense.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't go do anything to anybody. Yeah, but you provided the rhetoric and you provided the hate and you provided, free speech doesn't cover encouraging somebody to go kill somebody.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not saying it's going that far, but I'm saying is that when you take a person feeling for whatever reason, like things are stacked against them and it's not fair, and they feel powerless.
Yes,
they're going to resort, some of them, to tactics that are not unforeseeable.
Right.
So that is especially dangerous.
Yes, absolutely.
It has no business in our freaking classroom.
No, it doesn't. And here's the thing. I mean, it's not an unintended consequence. They know exactly what they're doing.
Of course they do.
Because by creating or fomenting that kind of revolution, they they hope to bring about a movement that they will get what they want. But the problem is, the people who are at the bottom, the people who are rioting, the people who are doing these things, they don't know they're being used. And at the very end, they find out they're being used, and it's worse. But that's when the government has what they want, and they can come in and they can silence that real fast.
Extremely. This is another thing that really just drives me crazy. Again, the rewriting of history.
Yes.
And I just cannot emphasize how wrong this is. Bringing Minnesota's diverse history into the classroom. Minnesota's experienced history producers from TPT will present an exciting multimedia journey through Minnesota's diverse history, illustrating Jim Crow of the North to amplify Minnesota's diverse stories, creating deeper connections with all cultures.
Wow.
So again, teaching history with an agenda, taking people who lived 100, 150 years ago and taking today's race relations and putting it on them. Mm-hmm. This is all business of renaming lakes, renaming schools, renaming avenues, renaming, cereal boxes, whatever.
Right.
It's the whitewashing of history.
And it's funny that they bring that up, that they bring up the Jim Crow laws. When you go back and look at what happened in the 1860s, I mean, they're doing the same thing back then that they're doing now, and they're using the same playbook this year to try and to create enough confusion within the election that they're going to be able to throw it to somebody else, or if they can't, that at least they're going to be able to bring people to a point where, all right, you won, but you need to make some concessions. And that's how the Jim Crow laws came in from the Democrats. Mm-hmm. In what was it, 1864?
It was after the war, during Radical Reconstruction.
Right. It's what ushered that in, but yeah.
And actually, at the end of Radical Reconstruction is where you really got the Jim Crow stuff, because now the North wasn't there anymore. So basically, it's Minnesota has a history of racism. I mean, Minnesota's a racist state. And it's your job, students, to go out there and change that. I mean, that's they're getting their marching orders. Racial justice is education justice. How to show up for our students, families, and communities.
Oh, I know that one. You set an alarm clock, and when it goes up, you get up, take a shower, and get dressed, have a little breakfast, get in your car, drive to the school, and there you are. You showed up.
I don't see that written here, Jay. I see a interactive and virtual workshop that will walk educators through ways in which they can become better racial justice advocates. So once again, it is not... this is again teaching the teachers that their job is to be an activist, not an educator.
Exactly.
Why is it so hard to talk about race? Gee, I wonder, you morons. Probably because every single time you try to have an honest conversation, you're called a racist.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody in education Minnesota have a brain in their head? Why do you think?
Yeah. Because anytime
if I disagree with them, I'm a racist.
Absolutely. So why would I talk with you about it?
If anything...
I'm already guilty.
Yeah. If anything, people like this are responsible for not being able to have a conversation. And you know what?
100%.
And you and I have talked about this before. It's going to take effort on the part of minorities to take advantage of their opportunity to improve their own lives. Mm-hmm. Everything can't be a handout.
And I don't think that's what most of them want.
I don't think that message, I think a lot of them don't hear that message. Mm-hmm. Race talk, along with expression of strong, intense emotions, is often discouraged in the classroom. Yes, by you people.
Yes.
This session will provide space and language for educators to learn and talk about 3 common barriers to opening up discussions about racism in our schools. Again, I don't know if the schools is the place to do this. Our hope is that participants will have the tools to label their own barriers to talk about race, and some tools that will help us move forward. Zippity-doo-dah. In other words, they want to get everybody to think the same thing. I mean, that's really what they're saying. And of course, we already talked about Muslims in the classroom. I don't. It's the basics of what impacts Muslim students and their daily lives. Aspects of diet, dress, gender relations, prayer, fasting, and Muslim holidays are integral to this topic. So this is meant to identify and address Islamophobia, Islamophobic bullying.
I don't see any of that. I really don't. And when I was in the schools, I didn't see any of that. I had a very racially diverse school that I taught at in Minneapolis, and there were Somalis, and there were people from the USA that were born and bred here. There were people from Laos. There were people from Mexico, and they all seemed to do just fine.
Yeah.
You know,
other foreign countries, North Dakota.
If anything, they ganged up on me.
All tagged in and out.
Yeah. But and here's the thing too. I mean, you don't see that. I'm going to go back. There is an example. When I was teaching there, they had a special program for the students where all the Somalis got to talk about Ramadan and all of their prayer customs and this and that and the other thing. Did they have anything for the Christians about Christmas? Oh, no, of course not. You know, but prayer, fasting, that's all part of the Christian experience too, but there's nothing about that. But yet they're not afraid to discriminate against Christianity because that's not discrimination.
No, it's Christians you're allowed to pick on.
No, instead of Islamophobia, that's Christophobia. That's what I've labeled that as Christophobia, and they do not want to address it at all. That
and
they
you can't even say
down.
Christmas in schools.
No, you can't.
Winter break.
Easter.
Why are we breaking around December 25th? I wonder.
Gee. It's a mystery, because that's what this country was founded on. That's our shared experience still for the majority of people in this country, you know, and it's not just white people. It's also Hispanics who are overwhelmingly Catholic or you know, also other types of Protestant Christianity.
Well, and a lot of black people who are from America are Christians as well. Look at all the black churches.
Absolutely.
Christians all over.
Absolutely. So, you know, I have probably, because of everything that happened in 2020, I have probably fasted more this year than I have any other year. You know, but I don't see anybody talking about this is part of the Christian experience. This is what they do. You know, that they should be praying every day as part of their relationship with God. That they fast. That they have these holidays.
Separation of church and state. That's
right. Right. That's what they say, which is a total farce as well. Because that's,
by the way,
Thomas Jefferson's letter to the Danbury Baptist Church had nothing to do with that.
I know that's not. It's so taken out of context.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, why is it okay to learn? And look, I think people should learn about other religions. I'm one that I think the more you know. Look, I remember when I was getting confirmed, I was a Lutheran. When I was getting confirmed, one of the things I had to do during my confirmation, and my Pastor Cliff, I don't know if he's still alive, but I remember when he retired, I was in college, so he might not be, but I remember he taught entire classes on all the other denominations of Christianity and other religions, even at a time when we weren't as diverse as we are now.
Right.
And it was very valuable teaching. I took a religious class in college also. I found it fascinating. I really did.
Yeah.
I found it very. I didn't know as a kid what a Catholic did or what a Baptist did, and blah blah blah. We openly had discussions. He never said a bad word about any other religion or any other practice that they did. It was just all knowledge. It was discussion oriented. I thought it was terrific. I think learning about religions, it's almost learning about history in a lot of ways.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's valuable things to know. But again, if one religion can't talk, another religion can, that in and of itself is not equitable. No equity. How about that?
And
no
the thing
equity?
that's strange, though, I mean, they're doing this for Islam, but there are a number of Buddhist students, I'm sure.
Sure.
Probably not a very large degree of Shinto students.
You have
Jewish people, yeah. Well, Jews are just as bad as Christians. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, they own all the banks. Okay, one more here I want to talk about. LGBTQ plus 101. What's that? What's the 101? Doesn't matter.
I don't know. 101. It's an introductory to
intersectional equity.
Oh, we've talked about that on the show a couple of times. Where the more intersections you're at, the
more confused the kid is,
more discriminated you are.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. Yes. That's the looks like the trails of the
right.
Three Rivers Park District. It's like they're trails where you go all the round.
Where
if you're a woman, that's one strike against you. If you're gay, that's another strike. If you're a minority, that's another strike. It's the scale of discrimination or whatever you want to call it. Kind of like the Price is Right game. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. That's what they're going up. Okay. A 2018 national survey by the Human Rights Campaign
survey says
revealed that 74% of LGBTQ students feel unsafe at school. Learn how to decrease your inequity and increase your LGBTQ inclusivity with vocabulary, concepts, and current legal policies, and concrete strategies on how to create safe and supportive environments. Can I just say something maybe not all that popular?
Well, you do it all the time. So do I.
Exactly. So what the hell difference does it make? Yeah. What business is it of educators what the sexuality is of anybody they are teaching?
Yes. I'd agree with that.
Look, you got kids, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say this again. I'm not saying kids are going through a phase. I'm not saying, I don't want to get into the debate about that. But you take a confused kid, maybe that doesn't have the best home life. Maybe they've been abused. Maybe they've had a weird experience or something like that. And you fill their heads with stuff.
Yeah.
Okay? You put them in a label on them. That can make a kid's situation worse.
Yeah.
And being a teenager is a confusing time.
Absolutely.
Okay? It just is. Your hormones are raging, your voice is dropping, it's a weird time in people's lives. You're going towards adulthood, and I don't think it's uncommon for kids to feel like they're even if they're not, to feel like they're an outcast or somebody thinks something of them or somebody's whispering something about them. I don't think that that's totally unusual.
No.
But why is that something that belongs in a classroom?
It's not. Now, here's what belongs in the classroom from that.
Yeah, notice, hold on. I want to notice nothing in this about reading, math, science, geography, any of the
college
things.
readiness.
Yeah. What else do soccer moms love? Career path.
Yes.
Those are the two things. I'll tell you what, you're sitting next to a soccer mom, and you mentioned those two phrases, boy, you better turn the fan, you better turn the air conditioning on. Okay, because they're ready. It can get kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So but nothing whatsoever about building people for a career, anything like that. It's all about how do we get people to be activists? How do we fill their heads with crap? Go ahead, Jay. I interrupted you.
No, all I was going to say was, as a teacher, your responsibility is anytime you see anybody getting bullied for any reason whatsoever, it is your job as the teacher to say, you need to cut it out. Stop being a jerk. Stop bullying other kids. I don't care what the reason is. You stop. And then you build into the kid and you build up their self-worth. And maybe they're not as confused, when they have some sort of sense of meaning and they know what it is they want to do with their life and they recognize what their strong points are and they recognize what they're good at, instead of us just feeding them all this baloney that, you can live in make-believe land. It's okay. You can be a twinkly fairy horse feather monster head, and that's okay.
Similar
that's
to that.
my gender. That's
similar to that. That's like giving everybody a participation trophy.
It is.
You don't learn competition. You don't learn humility and being a good sport and all that stuff.
You woke up and got out of bed today.
Yes, here's a lollipop for going to the potty. There. You raised your hand. Here's a sticker. I mean,
I'm in 8th grade.
Yeah. I mean, there's just it just is. I mean, I'm so glad I'm not a kid anymore. I mean, granted, I know according to statistics now, I've lived like 58% of my expected life, so that's a little scary.
Yeah.
Okay, and I maybe am going through a midlife thing kind of right now, maybe not, but which I'll share details of that on a future show. But here's the thing, too. I can honestly say, and I know you and I have talked about this on the air, I've never been bullied in my life. Mm-hmm. Not once, ever. I was never afraid to go to school. I can't relate to people who say they are. I honestly can't. I don't recall ever having somebody that, like I always say, I've never punched anybody who didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I can't think of an incident I ever had with somebody.
Yeah.
Ever. Now, some say if you've never been bullied, you are the bully. Okay? And I can think of one or two instances where it would be bullying today.
Yeah.
But back then, it was nobody cared. Okay? I'll share a story. I had a friend. I don't want to call him a friend because I don't know this. I won't say his first name on the air. But he was known for smelling bad. I don't know why. But picture Pigpen from the Peanuts. And I did not give him the nickname. His nickname was Stinky. Okay? I know where it came from, though. It came from an episode of Growing Pains. Because the son, not Kirk Cameron, but the other kid. I can't think of his real name. Ben Seaver. Okay, that's all I remember. His best friend was Stinky.
Okay.
And that's where, remember, Kirk Cameron's best friend was Boner.
Right.
Okay, so he became Stinky. The guy embraced it. And I have told these stories are gross, okay? But he was in my gym class for an entire semester. Never once did he change underwear.
Oh, no.
Just hear me out. It went from being white to yellow to orange to brown to like this charcoal color.
Burn him at the end of the semester.
I don't know. He might. I mean, I just remember his last name was Anderson, Stinky Anderson. That was his nickname. And I mean, it became who he was.
Yeah.
But nobody said anything. Nobody. I mean, that would be bullying today for sure.
That might be.
Okay, but I mean, you can always change underwear and get a new nickname. But I mean, I just will say this, that I never went through a bullying experience. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what that's like. I'm not pretending I do. I'm not one of the special oppressed classes. So, but the thing about it is, I think that the more schools try to push an agenda of you have to accept anything, no matter what it is, no matter what you are increasing the tension, not decreasing it.
Absolutely.
So, again, I'd love to see. Now, I want to quickly go through some of their other workshops.
Oh, good.
These are courses they can complete on something
There's
called...
more insanity.
Yeah, something called Learn Upon. Education Minnesota has launched Learn Upon this spring. Members, and of course it's only members, so nobody can see this, can catalog these classes and get CEU credits for licensure, and build union understanding and power.
Oh.
Here are the courses that are available on Friday, October 16th, which when we're recording this is tomorrow. Building Representative, Roles and Responsibilities. I don't know what that is. Certified Negotiator Program for Education Support Professionals and Teachers.
I think read that one more time.
Negotiator, is that like Robert Duvall in that one? Okay.
Just like that, like in The Apostle.
Yeah, or in John Q. Yeah, okay. Classroom mindfulness. Degrees, not debt. Engage students with Crossroads, an anthology, and this isn't music, an anthology of resilience and hope by young Somali writers. Member rights advocacy training.
Ooh.
Another one for Muslims in the classroom. Student mental health. The little things that make the big difference. So, again, this sounds like a 2-day union advocacy training and activism weekend. It doesn't sound like...
They throw in a couple of financial ones in there, and those are the ones they usually tout when they're doing advertising for this. But then most of them are either critical race theory or how to build power within the union.
So that's what you're getting. That's what's going on for these 2 days. And we'd love access.
Enjoy all that.
We'd love access to some of these, by the way.
If you feel
James O'Keefe, do you think maybe he's there?
I don't know.
Oh, they wouldn't let him in.
Probably not. But if you feel like you want to send us any materials, if you go, you want to email them to us, you can do that at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. I
really don't want to watch them that bad.
mn@gmail.com. It wouldn't, we might get some video clips, but even like the written materials, it would be good to be able to maybe leak some of those out.
You wouldn't do that.
Oh, sure I would.
Yeah,
and
I certainly would.
And if Ms. Bettina says anything controversial, we'd like to get that out there
from the
as well.
Book of Love. The Book of Love. Jay.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this is the next time you plan, when things are back to normal, say they are next school year.
Yeah.
And you think about those 2 days off and you think about the hunting trip you're going to take or whatever. Just remember what your quote unquote educators are up to for those 2 days.
Yep. And your kids are sitting at home instead of learning because the union needs to indoctrinate them.
Yeah, I wonder, the fact that it takes place a couple of weeks before an election, I'm sure that's just coincidence too.
Oh, I'm sure they don't talk about that at all.
No.
I mean, considering that the teachers union sends out all sorts of stuff promoting only Democrats.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
right.
Get them in the mail all the time.
Yeah, but it's also, doesn't belong in the classroom. None of that belongs in there. What is so hard, Jay, about just teaching math, science, English, history, geography, writing?
Math is hard.
Right, but I know it's hard.
It's racist, too. They had a whole thing on teaching math culturally. Remember that?
Yeah.
I read that off?
Yeah.
That's why they don't teach it.
Trying to forget it.
It's racist.
It just reminded me.
It's racist. 2 + 2. What's the square root of 16?
I don't know. What is it?
4.
Oh, I knew that.
Yeah.
That's to the second power.
Yes.
Right? That's what that means.
This is a reverse of being the second power, yeah.
Speaking of that.
Yes.
I actually had I got it right, and I kind of half guessed on Trivia Crack what the quadratic, remember the quadratic formula?
Vaguely.
I just remember over 4AC. Or no, it was 4AC with the little check mark thingy.
That's the square root.
Yeah, and then it was over 2B or something. Somehow it came back to me, and I haven't used the quadratic formula since, what was the year of the baseball strike? 94? Yeah, I think that was the last time I used the quadratic formula, but I remembered it.
Wow.
Remembered it and got it right in Trivia Crack, beat my wife at Trivia Crack. So, Jay, why don't you end it? The sign-off sermon, and make it quick. I got to pee.
Oh, my word. Stop cramping my style. Well. And here we are. We are coming up on another election. I know we got one or two more of these before then.
By the way, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I think in the next bonding bill, we should put in for we're going to enhance the community with some new equipment and new big signals so we can reach further and all that kind of stuff. I think it's about time we did some upgrades to our. I think I'm gonna call who's the rep around here. The Fonz, right?
Yeah, right here. Geez. It's the Fonz. Yeah.
Okay, we got to film somewhere. We got to record somewhere else. I'm gonna write to them and say I want to be in the next bonding bill that we get free stuff.
We are, if not a national treasure, at least a city treasure.
Exactly. We definitely represent the whole state of Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So I want some
of that sweet tax
some of that
money,
free money coming there, and I'm willing to negotiate in secret, just like they are. Okay, you know, I mean, you can't beat them, join them.
We're gonna buy them a pizza or something.
I'll give them all the toppings I don't like. They can have mushrooms and black olives. Okay, so
anchovies.
Goodness gracious. Broccoli or whatever else out there.
They can have a chicken and broccoli pizza
with extra burnt crust. That's what I'll give them. Anyway, okay. I just so we know, the next bonding bill, I'm going to advocate for community solutions. Portion of that money. It's only fair that we get some of it. I mean, it's only we need our fair share.
Well, one thing I did hear about was there's some like garage that the city of Delwood meets under. It's like a 1,000 square feet, and part of the bonding bill is $164,000 to re-roof it. Now, my house is maybe not that big, but when I re-roofed the house, it was not that much. $164,000.
I wouldn't think so, Jay. I mean,
those got to be some.
You'd
shingles.
have to take out a second mortgage for that.
That's got to be some shingles. Let
Holy
me tell
cow.
You. But maybe we could get $164,000 to cover the state in our goodness, our message.
I think it's a wise investment in our state's future.
I think so.
See, we got to speak their language.
Yes.
It's a all inclusive.
It's for the kids.
Yeah, exactly. It's all for the children and for inclusivity and for I can't even say these words. It's for everybody's proper appropriateness that we get this free money to go do what we want with, because we have to get our fair share.
Right, and we do our part to build cultural awareness.
Of course we do.
Podcasting is sustainable. I mean, you can listen to it over and over.
Environmentally friendly. I mean, we don't produce any carbon here, or our carbon footprint's pretty low.
Maybe a little bit. We do have the lights on.
Yeah, but those are special what do you call them? Lights that don't hurt the environment as much.
They're solar powered lights. Yeah. Are they?
Yeah. Sun goes down and we're in the dark. All right, I interrupted the pregame preach here. Go ahead.
All right. Oh, goodness. Well, schools are at it again. What can I say? And, sometimes our school boards don't get enough attention, I'll say all the time, because they do serve a very important part in our children's education, but they do all the stuff behind the scenes that none of us ever hear about. And it's always about the referendums, and the referendums is for the kids. We need to restore the schools, we need to get more supplies, we need to hire more teachers, but they don't talk about this part of it, where so much of the teachers' money that we pay them goes to the unions, and the unions have a very radical view of things. I mean, look at what we talked about a few weeks ago with the Robbinsdale Federation of Teachers having a quote from Assata Shakur on their website, who is a convicted cop-killing murderer who ran away to Cuba. That's exactly what they are teaching these teachers to teach your kids. So I hope that kind of shakes you up a little bit. We need people to come after these seats and to fill them up and to bring common sense back to how we run a school. We should be running a school like we run a business from a financial standpoint and from a curriculum standpoint and a discipline standpoint, whatever. We need to take a common sense approach, and we need to teach the real history. We need to teach math. We need to teach reading of the classics, as well as finding newer things that don't promote activism and racism. And we need to figure this stuff out, because Andrew was right earlier. I'm actually going to admit that Andrew was right earlier in the show. You know, kids are confused. Especially once they hit those teen years, it's all about a search for identity. You know, that's something we all, I think, to some degree, struggle with all throughout our lives, is that question, who am I? And when you have educators that are feeding into that, all this garbage, oh, you can be a boy or a girl, it doesn't matter. Oh, you can be a sparkly princess rainbow king, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can be this, you can be that, you can be gay, you can be straight. Well, maybe you shouldn't be straight. You could be bi, you could do this, you could do that, you could, but they're not sitting them down and teaching them like reality, you know, important things like, listen, you're a boy, all right? There's really no changing that. But what I do see in you is that when you play music, I see you light up. Or when I see you reading, you excel. You're really good at math. You're really good at connecting with people. You're really good at this or that. And you know what? If we were building into kids what we saw in them as their strengths and building true identity into them, that would build kids, stronger schools, stronger kids coming out of those schools. And it wouldn't be some half-brained scheme to try and make everybody into some activist army that is going to go out and defeat Donald Trump. It's stupid. It's like we're training our kids and we're wasting a generation so that we can defeat the Republicans. It is the stupidest thing that I think I've ever heard of. So we can bring in some new order to things so that the progressives, the Marxists, the globalists, whoever is at the top of this thing win and institute some new world order. That's what we're willing to waste a generation of children, 2 generations of children just to do that. That to you is an acceptable sacrifice? That's not an acceptable sacrifice to me. I am not willing to waste generations of our children who could be coming up and finding a cure for cancer, who could be coming up and designing the next fastest rocket to get us to Mars, who could be coming up and designing a system that we have flying cars or this or that.
Sorry, I'm getting inspired, Jay.
Are you? You're getting inspired? Let me tell you something. That's not the way it belongs. And I defy any one of you out there that is your goal, to turn this country into something that it was never intended to be, and you're willing to sacrifice generations to do it.
Yes.
It's got to stop.
Praise the Lord.
Absolutely. Praise the Lord. Because He is the author of identity, and He creates each of us to be something special, whether it is to own a business, whether it is to be somebody who helps people who are down and out on their luck, whether it is to feed the homeless, whether it is to just invent something new, whether it is to be a pastor, whether it is to be a governor. He gives each of us an identity with strengths and weaknesses, and those weaknesses are just as important, because when we rely on Him, He makes us strong in those areas. So let me tell you, our weaknesses aren't necessarily a bad thing. Our strengths sometimes can be a bad thing because we become overconfident. Well, we become overconfident, America. We have become overconfident in our abilities to change a nation and make it something it was never intended to be. Well, what price are you willing to pay to sit out and enjoy your life and be super comfortable and not sacrifice for the sake of your children, your grandchildren? Or maybe you're in your 20s, you don't have children yet, but you're gonna. Let me tell you, it's time where we need to sacrifice. And that's not a comfortable word. That is not something that we naturally do as human beings. We shy away from pain. We shy away from things where there's an easier route, a wider road. But we've been called to a narrow road, a road in which we need to walk in order to bring back liberty, to bring back common sense, to bring back identity to our nation and its residents. Because let me tell you, it is only when we find out who we truly are that we can make America great again. So, I want you to rise up out of where you're at. I want you to stand up and I want you to declare that you are going to put your best foot forward. Say it after me. I am going to put my best foot forward. And I'm going to sacrifice whatever it takes to make America what it is supposed to be, not what people who have no care for you or I or our children or our grandchildren want to make it into. I know that was a whole lot of words, but I know you can do it. So come with me. Come with us, because we are coming into the future. And whether Donald Trump wins or he loses and we have Joe Biden, whether it's he gets 25th amendmented, is that a verb? It is now. We have a road to walk. Until I'm cold and dead in the ground, I'm not going to give up. And I hope you're not going to give up.
By the way, this is the new theme song to the side-off sermon.
Is it?
It's so inspiring.
Oh, boy. We might have some copyright issues.
Well, they got enough money.
Well, maybe I'm going to have to write one. All right. So, on that note, we have work to do, America. And we can't do it alone. We need you to get on those advisory commissions, to step into public office, to start a blog or a podcast and hold your local people accountable. Because we're not going to be able to do it if we're just relying on our political institutions. Our legislators have failed us. Our governors have failed us. Our city councils have failed us. Our local Republican and Democrat groups have failed us. So who's with me? We got one more chance at this thing.
A message of love. L-O-V-E, love.
Oh, boy. We do got to love each other. So let me tell you, as I charge you, it is all about love. And that's part of sacrifice. We love other people enough to stand up and put our things aside in order to help somebody else. So let's get out there and do it. You see things going on in your community, you let us know. COMMsolutionsmn@gmail.com, and we will make sure that the whole world knows. Because why? I love that. I love the Southern. Why? Because this state is not going down like that. All right. It's your turn. We've done everything we can, and we're going to go away and come up with another great episode for you next week. But till then, we love you, Minnesota. Now it's your turn to get to work.
get too caught